Which statement, problem statement, which of the following is the standard format of MySQL display date value? First option, first YYYYMMDD. Second option DDMMYYYY. Third option YYMMDD. Fourth option MMDDYYYY. Hmm. The option first is correct option. The MySQL store date value internal and display them using the ISO standard format, which is YYYYMMDD. Here YYYY 4-digit year, MM 2-digit month, DD 2-digit date. In this format, improve the sorting efficiency, query consistency, and ordering, lexicography ordering, international capability. So the option 1 is correct. Yes, it is correct. Now we move to next question. Which data type is responsible for storing a combination of date and time information? Option date, second option time, third option time date, fourth option time stamp. Okay, according to my, it is the correct answer is date time. Asking which MySQL data store data information, time information together in single field. Okay, so correct answer is time, date time. Date time is a store date and time also. Time stamp store the date time with time zone related internal handling. Time is only time, date is storing only date, and date time is showing date and time. Okay, next question. Case condition. The problem statement in a SQL case statement, if the else clause is omitted, what value will be returned if none of the condition are met? इसको एक बार हम हिंदी में भी समझ लेते हैं क्या लिख रहा है क्वेश्चन। एसक्यूएल केस स्टेटमेंट में यदि एल्स क्लॉज को छोड़ दिया जाए तो यदि कोई भी शर्त पूरी नहीं होती है तो क्या मान लौटाएगा? ओके, ओके, इन दिस क्वेश्चन ऑप्शंस आर नल, जीरो, थर्ड ऑप्शन है द केस स्टेटमेंट will produce or an error. Fourth option, the result depend on the specific SQL dialog and may vary. So the correct option in this is null, because we read once again question. The question test SQL case statement behavior when no when condition match, no else clause exists, the expected output must follow SQL standard behavior. So the correct answer is null, because the case statement null is here correct answer. Always include the else clause to avoid unexpected null values. So now we can move next question. Okay, in this number of employee problem statement, which of the following case statement implement correctly calculate the number of employee with an salary greater than 50,000. Okay, four syntax is given. First, we analyze the option A. Select count case when salary is greater than 50,000, then 1L0. Okay, as employer. Okay. Here problem count all null values. So the option A is incorrect because it's counts both 1 and 0 also, or null. So this count all row, not just employee with salary greater than 50,000. The option is wrong option, incorrect. Option B, select count distinct case when salary from employee ID and employees matching condition return employee ID. None matching row return null. Count function ignore null values. Count function thus only matching employee are counted. So the option B is correct option. We move the analyze option C. In this C option, C syntax, select some function. Some function work with a numeric value. String is yes, no. It is not correct. So the option C cannot correctly be summed numerical values. So the third option C is incorrect syntax. Option D, select some function case salary 50,000. Matching row return 1. Matching row return 1. None matching row return null. Sum of function adds only numeric value. Therefore, total equals to number of matching employees. It is also correct. But one or more. Okay. So here the B and D is a correct. Okay. Now next question. Total spending. You need to category the total spending per merchant category. The total spending should be classified as low, medium, or high. Which SQL query correctly group the data by merchant category and apply this label based on the sum of transaction amount? In this question, can we हिंदी? ओके आपको प्रत्येक व्यापारी के कुछ खर्चों की श्रेणीबद्ध करना होगा. कुछ खर्च को कम, मध्यम या उच्च श्रेणी में वर्गीकृत किया जाना चाहिए. कौन सा एसक्यूएल क्वेरी डेटा को व्यापारी श्रेणी के अनुसार सही ढंग से समूहित करता है और लेन देन की कुल राशि के आधार पर इन श्रेणियों को लागू करना है. ओके सो अपन लोग एक बार इन दिस बिजनेस रिक्वायरमेंट फॉर ईच मर्चेंट कैटेगरी कैलकुलेट टोटल स्पेंडिंग एंड assign spending labels low, medium, high based on the sum function, sum of amount. Okay, so we check the option A. In option A, select mc.name sum function case. This means categorization is based on the total spending per category. And the last, group by MC name. Group row properly by merchant category. Group row properly by merchant category. Okay, I think it is correct. Option is correct. Now we check the option B. Option B, group by comma spending category. Spending category is derived from the aggregate value. Spending category is derived from aggregate value. Grouping by allies generated from aggregate is logically incorrect in the context. This can also fail many SQL. So the B, option B is incorrect. Option C, option C case, we check the case when amount less than equals to 1000 then low. Use individual transaction amount instead of sum of amount, require asking for total spending per category. No, not for individual transaction. Also aggregate rules because amount is non-group. So the option C is incorrect. Now we check the option D. Select MC none sum of as a total amount. Does not category spending into low, medium, high. Missing case statement entirely. So the option D is also is incorrect. The correct option is A. So now we move to the next question. Next question, case statement, problem statement. Which of the following statement best describe the utility and correct application of the SQL case statement in the data analyst and manipulation? Which of the following statement best describe the utility and correct application of the SQL case statement in data analysis and manipulation? Option A, the case statement can only be used within the statement select clause for query to apply simple condition logic to the display result. The option B, the case statement is the used to create a new column in the database data table based on the dynamic condition applied to the table existing columns. Third option, the case statement provide a way to implement conditional logic within SQL query, allowing for dynamic output based on specific column values and can be used within the select, where, and order by clause. Option D, the case statement replace the need for joins in SQL query by allowing conditional check across multiple table without physical combine them. Can we check in Hindi? निम्नलिखित में कौन सा कथन डेटा विश्लेषण और हेरफेर में एसक्यूएल केस स्टेटमेंट की उपयोगिता को सही अनुरूप से सबसे अच्छा वर्णन करता है? केस स्टेटमेंट का उपयोग केवल क्वेरी के सेलेक्ट क्लॉज के भीतर प्रदर्शित परिणामों पर सरल सशर्त तर्क लागू करने के लिए किया जा सकता है। सेकंड, केस स्टेटमेंट का उपयोग डेटाबेस में मौजूद कॉलम पर लागू होने वाली गतिशील स्थितियों के आधार पर नए कॉलम बनाने के लिए किया जाता है। थर्ड ऑप्शन, केस स्टेटमेंट एसक्यूएल क्वेरी के भीतर सशर्त तर्क को लागू करने का एक तरीका प्रदान करता है जिससे विश्लेषण कॉलम मानों के आधार पर गतिशील आउटपुट की अनुमति मिलती है और इसका उपयोग सेलेक्ट, वेयर और ऑर्डर बाय क्लॉज के भीतर किया जा सकता है। ऑप्शन 4, केस स्टेटमेंट एसक्यूएल क्वेरी में जॉइन की आवश्यकता को समाप्त कर देता है क्योंकि यह कई तालिकाओं में सशर्त जांच की अनुमति देता है बिना उसे भौतिक रूप से संचालित किए। चलो वापस इंग्लिश में आ जाते हैं। तो इसका सही होगा ऑप्शन, फर्स्ट एक बार वापस पढ़ लेते हैं। द केस स्टेटमेंट कैन बी ऑलवेज बी यूज्ड एज द सेलेक्ट क्लॉज ऑफ द क्वेरी टू अप्लाई सिंपल कंडीशनल लॉजिक टू डिस्प्ले रिजल्ट. It is wrong. Case option 1 is wrong because it also used in where, order by, group by, having, update, insert. That's why option 1 is incorrect. Option B, the case statement is used to create new column in database table based on dynamic conditional applied to table exist columns. It only create compute or delivered output value during query execution. Permanent column required alter table. So the second option also is wrong, incorrect. And now we check the option C. The case statement provide a way to implement conditional logic within SQL query, allowing for dynamic output based on specific column value can be used within select, where, order by clause. I think option C is correct. This accurately describe SQL case. Conditional logic, dynamic output, value transformation, condition sorting, filtering, common uses area, select, where, order by. So the correct option is B. But we check also option D. The case statement replace the need for join the SQL query by allowing condition check across multiple table without physical combining them. Case does not replace join. Join are required to combine row from multiple table. Case only perform conditions evaluation. So the option D is also is incorrect. The correct option is C. Okay, this is the correct. Now we move to next question. Date format problem statement. The transaction data include a date field as a text type in format YYYYMMDD HHMMSS. Example 2018 month January, date first, time 21:35:10. You need to report the date by month in the more readable format. Example January, February, etc. Which of the following SQL query sequentially is correct for converting the text date to a date type of formatting? Display the gesture. इसको भी एक बार हिंदी में देख लेते हैं क्वेश्चन को. लेन देन डेटा के दिनांक फिल्टर टेक्स्ट प्रकार में YYYMMDD HHMMSS प्रारूप में है. उदाहरण के लिए दिया गया आपको डेटा को महीने के अनुसार अधिक पठनीय प्रारूप में रिपोर्ट करना है. उदाहरण के लिए जनवरी, फरवरी, मार्च आदि. टेक्स्ट दिनांक को दिनांक प्रकार में परिवर्तित करने और उसमें केवल महीने का नाम प्रदर्शित करने के लिए करना है. तो ऑप्शंस दिए गए हैं. Now we check which is the correct option. Option A, select date format, str date t dot date percent ym percent d hd month name. Okay. Convert text into a valid date time value. The str to date convert text into valid date value. Step 2, date format. Date format exactly full month name, January, February. So the option 1 is correct answer. Option B, incorrect function order. Date format expect a date oblique date time input, but t dot date is text. Cannot correctly pass entire data date time string. So the correct the option B is incorrect. Option C. In the option C, t dot date is stored as a text. The function or date format function expect the date oblique date time data type. Some SQL engines may this is not a correct readable approach. So the C option is incorrect. Option D, select str date. Okay. The str of date function convert string into a date. %m only represent month like a name like January, February, but input date format is YYYMMDD HHMMSS. Format mismatch. So the option D also is incorrect. The correct option is option A. So now we come to the next question. Financial transaction. When analyze financial transaction to determine the fiscal quarter in which they occurred, which SQL function should be used to extract the quarter directly from a date column in transaction table? Option 1, option B, option C, option D. Okay. We analyze all the options. First, what is the question understanding? The requirement is the extract the quarter from a date. Example output Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. The question asks for the standard SQL function that directly extract the quarter value from the date value. In the option A, date format, date column, comma, %Q. %Q is not understand standard MySQL. MySQL support %Y, %M, %D, but not Q. So option A is incorrect. Now we move next option B. Option B is correct. This is the standard SQL approach. It is directly extract quarter value. Direct extract quarter value. Now, according to me, the option B is correct answer. Now we check the option C. I think option C is incorrect. This work in Oracle format text. Here it is a Oracle format. However, the question asking for extracting the quarter directly using a SQL function. So extract function is more standard and direct method, which is the option B. So option C is incorrect. Option D, this is also is incorrect. This is the SQL specific syntax. Although valid in some Postgres SQL, it is not standard across SQL dialog. So the option B D is also incorrect. The correct answer is option B. So now we move to the next question. Problem statement based on filter record. A database analyst want to filter record belonging to the current year dynamically. Which SQL statement correctly compare date column with the current year using date function? Options are: first option, where year where year date where year function date column equals to year current date function. I think it is correct because year function date column extract year from store date. Current date function returns current system date. Year function extract current year. Option is in option A is correct. The current date and current year. Option is correct. Now we check the option B. Option B, where the date format, date column Y, okay, extract date format, extract the year as a text, both side return formatted year string. Both A and B both are correct. Option C. Option C. Yeah, where the extract year from the date column, extract year from the current date, uses the ANSI standard SQL extract extension, which is correct. So the option C is also correct. Okay. In the fourth option, all of the above. The correct answer is all of them. Option A, option B, option C is correct. So the D is all of the above. Dynamic filtering means queries automatically adjust according to the current system date. This avoid manual update every year. So this is my question is correct. Now we will move to the next question. Format specifier. Format specifier. Problem statement in MySQL for have a text column date text with a date time value formatted as date. You need to convert this text entire into a date format DDMMYY. Give that you must first ensure the string is recognized as date. Which sequence and format specifier should you use the correctly perform this conversion and output? हिंदी में भी एक बार देख लेते हैं जल्दी से. MySQL में आपके पास डेट टेक्स्ट नाम का एक टेक्स्ट कॉलम है जिसे दिनांक और समय के मान प्रारूप में है. आपको इस टेक्स्ट प्रविष्टि को DDMMYY दिनांक प्रारूप में परिवर्तित करना है. ओके. ऑप्शन दिया गया है, ऑप्शन में चेक करना है कौन सा ऑप्शन सही है, कौन सा सिंटैक्स सही है. वी चेक द ऑप्शन 1 A. Select date text to as formatted from date table name. I think it is correct. Sorry, option A is incorrect. Option A is incorrect because date format function expect a date date time input, but date text is text. The conversion should be happens first. So in this wrong logic is the format first, convert later. Text date format output. Okay. Option is incorrect. Now we check the option B. Option B. Select date format, str date. Okay. Option B is also wrong input format. Actually, option B is wrong syntax because wrong input format. Actual input 2018 January date then time is 21, 35, 10. Expect parser YMDHIS, but option uses DMYHMS, which does not match the input structure. So the option B is also wrong option. Now we check the option C. Option C. Option C is also incorrect because input contains SQL function syntax %y, which expect a 2-digit year. Input contain 4-digit year, 2018, okay, which require capital Y. In here, show the small y. Okay, so that's why it is wrong option. Now we check the option D. Option D is correct. Why it is correct? Convert text to date time. The start to date text is correct. Correctly pass. Format output Y, capital Y, small m, D, H is correct. The convert string text input into date time is correct. Format date time into desired display format. The option D is correct. Now we move to the next. So the next question is pending reports. Okay. In this question, we write the SQL query. So first of all, properly read the question. Pending report problem statement use the transaction merchant and merchant category data. You want to create a report that categorize transaction into high spending, moderate spending, or low spending based on the transaction amount. However, within the high spending, further category into food high spend or low food food high spend or non-food high spend based on the merchant category. Your take in a write to SQL query category each transaction into spending category based on the transaction amount and merchant category. The category rules are as follow. The first, high spending if the transaction amount is greater than 1000. Further category as follow. Option first, in if a merchant category is restaurant, classify the food high spend. If a merchant category is non-restaurant, not a restaurant, classify non-food high spend. Moderate spending if the transaction amount is between 500 and 1000 inclusive. Low spending if the transaction amount is less than 500. Okay, this is the we want to output. एक बार इसको हिंदी में भी देख लेते हैं. लेन देन समस्या का विवरण. लेन देन व्यापारी और व्यापारी श्रेणी डेटा का उपयोग करके आप एक रिपोर्ट बनाना चाहते हैं जो लेन देन राशि के आधार पर लेन देन को उच्च व्यय, मध्य व्यय, निम्न व्यय के वर्गीकृत करें. इसके अलावा उच्च व्यय के भीतर व्यापारिक श्रेणी के आधार पर उसे खाद्य पदार्थों पर उच्च व्यय या गैर खाद्य पदार्थों के उच्च व्यय के आगे वर्गीकृत करें. आपको एक एसक्यूएल क्वेरी लिखनी है जो प्रत्येक लेन देन की राशि और व्यापारी श्रेणी के आधार पर व्यय श्रेणियों में वर्गीकृत करें. वर्गीकरण के नियम इस प्रकार है. उच्च व्यय यदि लेने की राशि 1000 से अधिक है तो उसे निम्नलिखित वर्गीकरण. यदि व्यापारी श्रेणी रेस्टोरेंट है तो उसे खाद्य पदार्थों पर अधिक खर्च के रूप में वर्गीकृत करें. यदि व्यापारी श्रेणी रेस्टोरेंट नहीं है तो गैर खाद्य व्यय के रूप में वर्गीकृत करें. उच्च खर्चा, मध्यम खर्चा. यदि लेन देन की राशि 500 से 1000 हो तो के बीच हो, दोनों शामिल, मतलब 500 और 1000 भी शामिल रहेगा उसमें. कम खर्चा यानी लेन देन की राशि 500 से कम हो. इस वर्गीकरण को पूरा करने के लिए एसक्यूएल क्वेरी के आउटपुट की लेन देन संबंधित इस तरीके से होनी चाहिए. चलो ठीक है, क्वेश्चन समझ में आ गया है. नेक्स्ट इंग्लिश में कर लेते हैं. सो नाउ वी check the condition and we visualize the ER diagram. In this ER transaction table, merchant category. The merchant category is primary is ID, as well merchant in ID, merchant category have the ID, but the transaction in the transaction table contain the ID, amount, ID, merchant columns, and another table merchant. In the merchant table, we have the column ID, merchant category. Another is merchant category table, have the ID and name. Okay, so now we start the syntax. We write the syntax. Select t dot id. Select id t dot id comma from transaction t. Transaction t join merchant m on t dot id merchant equals to m dot id. Join merchant category equals to mc dot id. Now we write the case. When t dot amount and mc dot name equals to restaurant restaurant capital. Then would high spend. Another case, t dot amount 1000 mc restaurant. Then none food I spend. T dot amount is between 500 and 1000. Then moderate spending. Else low spending and as spending category and as spending category. We use here not jar, the inner jar. So now we according to this output ID spending category. So now we run this. Okay, the output is ID spend category. Okay, now we submit it. Yes, it is correct, accepted by platform. So now we now once again check the syntax. In here, the step 1 is read transaction records. Step 2, join merchant table, join merchant category table, then case condition, then assign spending category, then return transaction ID with category. Okay. In here, use the first normal form, first NFA. In this, atomic value maintained, no repeated groups. The second NFA, merchant category separated into dedicated table, no partial dependency. Third normal form, no transaction dependency, merchant category details normalized. So the output is correct. So we can move to the next question. Okay, the next problem is total transaction. Using the transaction table, create a SQL query to calculate the total number of transaction and the total transaction amount of each month and year. Filter the result to include only the top 3 months with the highest transaction value. The return table must contain year, month, total transaction and total amount. Columns rounding to decimal place. Okay. Hence, it is suggested to explore the data using the describe and select statement before writing the query. Which of the following the understand the relationship between the table output format, year, month, total transaction, total amount. Okay. एक बार इसको हम हिंदी में भी देख लेते हैं. लेन देन डेटा का उपयोग करके प्रत्येक माह और वर्ष के लिए कुल लेन देन की संख्या और कुल लेन देन राशि की गणना करने के लिए एक एसक्यूएल क्वेरी बताइए. परिणाम को फिल्टर करके केवल उन 3 महीनों को शामिल करें जिसमें सबसे अधिक लेन देन हुआ हो. प्रत्येक तालिका में वर्ष माह के कुल लेन देन की कुल राशि 2 दशमलव के स्थान में पूर्णांक होनी चाहिए. ओके, तो इसमें अपन हमें क्वेरी लिखनी है. क्वेरी लिखने से पहले एक बार समझ जाते हैं कि इस क्वेश्चन की रिक्वायरमेंट क्या है. इसलिए this problem requires aggregation, group by, count function, sum function, round off function, order by, limit, data extraction function. टोटल 8 नियर अबाउट 7 से 8 फंक्शन हमें इसमें यूज करने हैं. तो स्टेप क्या क्या इसमें होगा. फर्स्ट स्टेप इज एक्सट्रैक्ट ईयर फ्रॉम ट्रांजेक्शन डेट. सेकेंड स्टेप लेंगे एक्सट्रैक्ट मंथ फ्रॉम ट्रांजेक्शन डेट. थर्ड ग्रुप रिकॉर्ड बाय ईयर एंड मंथ. फोर्थ स्टेप काउंट ट्रांजेक्शन. फिफ्थ लेंगे कैलकुलेट द टोटल अमाउंट. सिक्स्थ राउंड टोटल अमाउंट टू decimal. Sort by transaction count descending order. Return top 3 rows. Return top 3 rows. Okay, तो स्टार्ट करते हैं क्वेरी. सेलेक्ट फ्रॉम ग्रुप बाय ऑर्डर बाय लिमिट group by year and month. Year, month function. From what is the table name? Table name is transaction. transaction group by select year as year date, then month date as month, then count function take as total transaction, rounding the two decimal place. So round sum of amount to as total amount order by total transaction, year date. Now we run this, the column year, month, total transaction, total amount. Okay, the output is same. So now we submitted this program. In this syntax, extract the month value. Month 3, 7, 10. Count asterisk total transaction per group. Count function counts total transaction per group. Sum of amount calculate total transaction amount. Round function round decimal value to two decimal place. 0.69, 0.60. So in this program syntax, we improve the aggregation, sorting, filtering. Once again, improve the aggregation, sorting, filtering. So now we submit this. Okay, wow. So now we move to the next question. The next question is average transaction. Problem statement. Examine how to average transaction amount varies between early before 12 p.m. and later after 2 p.m. Transaction across different merchant categories. Analyze whether certain categories have higher spending earlier or later in the day and how this might inform business operation hour or promotional strategy. Also round the value of the average amount column to two decimal place. So एक बार हिंदी में पढ़ लेते हैं, समझ लेते हैं. विभिन्न व्यापारी श्रेणियों में दोपहर 2 बजे से पहले और दोपहर 12 बजे के बाद होने वाले लेन देन की औसत राशि में अंतर का विश्लेषण करें. यह भी देखें कि क्या कुछ श्रेणियों में दिए दिन की शुरुआती या बाद के समय में अधिक खर्चा होता है. इससे व्यावसायिक परिचालन समय या प्रचार रणनीति का कैसा प्रभावित किया जा सकता है. साथ ही औसत राशि कॉलम में मानों को 2 दशमलव स्थानों तक वर्णित करें. नोट परिणामों का श्रेणी के अनुसार क्रमबद्ध करें. शॉर्टिंग देर से होने वाले लेन देन वाले शुरुआती लेन प्राथमिकता दे. ओके, ये है संकेत, हिंट दिया हुआ है कुछ इसका. ओके, आउटपुट स्क्रीन इस तरीके का. ओके, ठीक है. According to the question, the I'm visualizing the ER diagram. The three tables have transaction, merchant, and merchant category. Transaction table have the ID, amount, date, and merchant ID. And merchant table have the ID, and another is merchant category ID. And third table is merchant category have the ID and name. Okay, so the we three of them connected to the inner join. So now we start the query. In the transaction table, T ID transaction date comma. Okay, so according to the question, what is the requirement? Sorting by the category early transaction first. Okay. So once again, what is the problem requirement? Analyze average transaction amount based on merchant category, early versus later transaction timing. Transaction timing rule: early transaction before 12 p.m. return 1, late transaction 12 p.m. or later return 0. Okay, okay. In here, later transaction is 0 and early transaction is 1. Okay. So now we start the query. Select from inner join by order by order by so now we start the from which table? Transaction table. MC inner join merchant M on T dot ID merchant equals to M dot ID. Then another join merchant category MC on MID merchant category here MC. Then MC dot name comma is and when it's when power T dot date then 1 else 0. Then the select MC dot name as category round abg t dot amount comma 2 as average amount, average amount case and else when our t dot date and then 1 it's 0. Now descending in order by MC dot name early transaction descending order, early transaction descending order, same descending order, same is category. Okay, in here our function extract the hour from the date time and average here average function calculate the average transaction amounts. Round function round decimal value to decimal place, round function decimal value to 2 decimal place. So in this syntax read the transaction record, then join merchant table, join merchant category table, extract hours from transaction date, classify an early or late, group by category and transaction, calculate average transaction amount, round result to 2 decimal, sort by category and early transaction. So now we run this program once. In this syntax, now in this syntax, show the once again. In this program, I miss one thing here. Case and as early transaction. Now it is okay. Okay, now we run again. Okay, okay. So in this some spelling error, like transaction. Transaction. Early transaction. Now again run this. Okay. The output is category, average amount, early transaction, bar, coffee shop. Okay. So now we submit this. Okay, my syntax is correct. Accepted the query. Now we move to the next question. RF analysis. RF analysis. Hmm. Okay. RF analysis problem statement. We are tasked to the RF analysis for the credit card company. You are now tasked for compute frequency and monitored value of the each card based on the transaction data. The goal is identify the high value card holder and segment the user IDs effectively you needs to calculate day since the last transaction, frequent total number of transaction per card, the total amount is spent per card. Okay. The output format card frequency. Okay. So now we write the syntax for this problem. First we talk about the what is the requirement. The perform RF analysis for each credit card using transaction data, required matrix data since last transaction, number of transaction, total spending amount. Its important condition is current date for recency, transaction date, data type, target table, RF, required column, card, recency, frequency, monetary. Okay. So now we write the problem. So first reduce the table. So we start the problem. Create a table in this problem. Select from select from then group by select from transaction based on the transaction data from transaction. Okay. Group by card, group by card. Card. Count function. So the card no data difference. So data for date div 2018 31. Max date star to date date percent d space percent h percent I percent s. frequency count asterisk as frequency 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 comma round sum of amount comma 2 as should be here in this create table user RFM as select asterisk from create table user RFM select card date state star. Now we run this program. Some error. Now once again we run this program. So now check the what happened. Yes, output is come as mentioned card frequency. In the query, the first star to date in this convert text into date time format. Okay, this function used for convert a text into date time format, and after the date function extract only date portion. Now the max function gets latest transaction date per card. Max function gets latest transaction date per card. Then date diff calculate days difference. Calculate the days difference. 31st December 2018 to current date. The count asterisk counts the transactions. Some function calculate the total spending. Calculates the total spending. Round function value to two decimals. The execution flow is first read transaction record, convert text date to date time. Third, group record by card, find latest transaction date, calculate using the date difference, count transaction, sum transaction amounts. Next step, round monetary values. Third step, store result in user RF table. So once again run this program. Okay, now submit it. Okay, good. Now we move to the next question, which is based on customer classification. In the financial database, data are stored as string in format YYYMMDD. Okay, you need to analyze transaction by aggregate them into their respective year and quarter. Write a SQL query to convert the date string into the format that combine the year and quarter as a single integer. from transaction table and then count the number of transaction for each of these year quarter combination. Instruction: extract the year and quarter from the date string, combine them into a string integer into an integer format YYYYYQQ, where QQ represent the quarter number, 01 for quarter one Q1, 02 for Q2, etc. Group the transaction in these YYYQQ format and count them. Okay. Date output format. Okay. So what is the requirement for the solution? Convert string to date time. Second, extract year. Third is extract quarter. Fourth, build YYYQQ integer string. Count transaction. Group. Sixth is group by year quarter. So डेटा प्रोसेसिंग लॉजिक क्या होना चाहिए इसमें? स्टेप बाय स्टेप ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन, ईयर, मंथ, quarter in the form of 02, 01. Okay. So now we write the query. Select from transaction table. Select from transaction table. Group by, order by, group by year quarter. Year by year. Quarter. Order by year quarter. Okay. From transaction. So now here first convert the text into date time. For that, str to date, comma, percent y, percent m, percent d, space percent h, percent I, colon, percent small s. Okay. Then year 18050 50. This star now, comma, now quarter, extract quarter number. Okay, so QUARTR quarter 018 05 015. LPAD function. LPAD function pads quarter with leading 0. Pads quarter with leading 0. That means LPAD 2, 2, 0. Then so now LPAD 2, 2, 0. Okay. Now we write here concat function. Concat function used for combine year and quarter. For example, 018, comma 02. Alphabet. This star function here. Okay. So now we manage this syntax as for our output. For that, we do something modification. Concat year star to date, string star to date, date as in close bracket, comma, then lpad modification required. Before lpad, we use the quarter in the form of like that. Comma 2, comma 0, bracket close. lpad quarter string date here 200. Okay, bracket as year quarter, comma. Now use count function, count asterisk as transaction count. Transaction count from here. एक बार चेक कर लेते हैं इसको. Select concat. So now we discuss about the syntax and explain something. Star to date is used for convert text into date time. Then year function. There is a year function. Year function. In this year function, we use for the extract year. Then quarter used for the extract quarter number like 0, 2, 1. Okay. Then lpad is pad quarter with leading 0 to 02. Quarter is second, so lpad is 02. Here the 02. Concat function combine year and quarter. This is the year. First is year and second is quarter in the form of 0 to 0 prefix. In this syntax, execution flow is the first is read transaction records, convert text date into date time. Third is extract year value. Fourth is extract quarter value. Fifth is pad quarter using lpad. Sixth is concat year plus quarter. Seventh is group by YYY QQ format. Eighth is count transaction. Ninth is short result. Okay, so now we run this program. Here's some problem. We solve this. Select concat year star date. So now we run this program. Okay, now the output is expected as same as expected output. So now we submitted it. Okay, it is successfully submitted.